Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Zach Faber, and welcome to our little, E3 wrap up thing where we're just going to go over the things we liked from all the major press conferences and stuff like that. Initially, I had this video being much longer and it was fully made and edited and everything, but I found it coming off a little more negative than I wanted it to because there was a lot of pointless press conferences this year. But I decided I didn't like that very much, so instead of releasing that video, I decided to make a whole new video and just go over my favorite things from E3 this year from the big press conferences. I will be doing another video just like this, but for the smaller titles and like indie devs and stuff like that from the Wholesome Direct and like Future Games Show and stuff like that. But this video is just going to be like the major press conferences, and we're just going to go over like like 8 or 9 to 10, something like that. Favorite things that I saw at this year's E3. And yeah, without any further ado, let's just get into it. So we're going to kick things off just like Square Enix did with their press conference, and we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game from Eidos Montreal. All right, so they announced this video game a couple years ago. I think it was 2018, 2019, something like that. Kind of alongside the time they got the deal for the Marvel's Avengers games. And wow, that game wasn't very good and hasn't been very successful at all. So I don't think very many people were excited for any new Marvel games coming from Square Enix and like their studios. But I was completely blown away by the footage we saw of Marvel's Avengers, or Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, it looks really cool. I'm really glad they're dropped. Well, they didn't drop because it was never intended for this game, but they're not doing another multiplayer game like Marvel's Avengers is. It's a single player story narrative game with like RPG elements and stuff like that. It seems very similar to that Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game where you make decisions and stuff. People like stay mad at you and stuff, and that was shown off with a scene from the gameplay trailer where you tell Drax to throw a rocket over like a gap in the walkway or something, and it says Rocket Raccoon is furious and like will remember this or something like that. It seems very similar to the Telltale style, but it looks way prettier than the Telltale game did. The story looks interesting. It's they at one point you decide if you're going to sell Groot or Rocket Raccoon to a Lady Hellbender, I believe it was, and like you can pick either. I think you don't even have to go with that option because there's like 4 people talking and you just choose to listen to Groot. So I don't know what would happen if you didn't listen to Groot there, if we would just end up at the same place. I'd be interested to see if like you do just get like shoehorned into like certain narrative things, but that's still not that bad as long as like the story's interesting. I wouldn't mind that. And yeah, just thought it looked very interesting. And I'm happy to see Square Enix recover from Marvel's Avenger and kind of move on with new games in that like series. Next up, we got Somerville by Jumpship Games. This is kind of like a limbo slash inside kind of game. I believe it actually has one of the co-founders of Playdead Studios, the people behind Limbo and Inside, on the development team. And I just think it looks fantastic. It's so like as I said, it plays kind of similar to Limbo and Inside, but it seems more like rather than like a dark, gloomy story, it's more about a family trying to survive during an alien invasion. Like you see like someone's or like there's a shadow in their house when they're all just sleeping doing normal stuff, and then it shows you like the family over time running and trying to escape somewhere. We do see mostly what appears to be the father character running alone, so I don't know if he's just out scavenging on his own or some awful stuff happens to the family. But they have a dog, and it doesn't look like great stuff's gonna happen to that dog because you only see it in like the first 2 scenes. But yeah, I'm very interested to play it. Loved Limbo and Inside, and like Little Nightmares is like kind of similar. But yeah, so it's like a cool looking like platformer. Are they platformers? Like side scrolling platform. Yeah, it looks like an interesting game. I like the sci-fi element rather than like dark gloomy horror that you see in like the previous kind of games in the series or in the genre. I mean, and yeah, just looking forward to it. It looks like a smaller game. Looks interesting. Check it out. Switching from a smaller game to a much larger game in scale and probably exposure, that would be Tinytinas Wonderlands. So this looks like it's basically they took the idea of Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep and they're just going to turn that into a whole game. But they have said it's completely removed from the Borderlands series outside of the Tiny Tina role, but she's not actually in the game. She's kind of like a narrator, or I think they said she's the bunker master or something. So like a GM that's supposed to be moving you through this like kind of tabletop RPG like board game or video game. And so none of the characters from Borderlands are going to be in it. It's like a new universe. It's more of a fantasy like game rather than like gloomy sci-fi set in space. But yeah, so this looks interesting. We didn't get to see any gameplay, I don't think. We only saw the one trailer. But I liked Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep a lot. Um I'm hoping that they tone down the kind of humor that they've been doing in the last, Borderlands 3 and stuff, and like make it a little bit better. But we'll see. Uh I'm interested in it. I'm not 100% sold, but uh yeah, we'll see how it turns out. Moving on to one of the games that I think I'm most excited about from all of E3, but I am trying to temper my excitement because all we saw was a cinematic trailer, but it was something new and original. I don't think we saw very many like things out of left field that we weren't expecting to see at this E3. That could be because of the pandemic and stuff, or that in the new console generation, a lot of the companies are trying to focus on, their big series and franchises, uh but the game I'm talking about is Redfall by Arcane Austin, the developers of Prey and the games in that series. And so the game lets you play single or co-op up to 4 players. And you're going to be taking control of 4 main characters. I can't remember their names right now, but they're all going to have unique abilities and stuff like that. And you're going to be fighting hordes of vampires. Like they use the word hordes, but in the trailer they only show you 3. So there's a lot of comparisons being drawn to like a Left 4 Dead like game, but I don't think we have full confirmation of it's going to be like that. And they've also shown that there's going to be cultists in it, so I don't know if you're going to get more cultists or more vampires. But I've never been a huge fan of Left 4 Dead, so I would like it to be a little bit more narrative heavy than just horde based gameplay. But I'm very interested in it. I thought the art style looked really good, even though it's just cinematic. Like we've seen what Arcane Austin can do, and I think they're like really good at this kind of stuff with world building and arts, like their particular art style. So very much interested in this, and I really can't wait to see some actual gameplay so I can figure out if I am actually super excited or if I need to temper my expectations a little bit more. Moving on to the game that would have been easily my game of the whole E3 if it hadn't been leaked like an hour before the presentation or like earlier that morning, and that would be Mario+Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I love Mario+Rabbids. I wasn't really looking forward to it when it first got announced, but I really love the XCOM games and like Fire Emblem and games that have that tactical turn-based like strategy stuff. And what Mario+Rabbids was able to do with like that kind of gameplay was really smart and inventive. And I had loads of fun with it. I played through the entire game multiple times. I played through the DLC with Donkey Kong. Can't really remember what that was called, but that was excellent too. And I've really been hoping that they would come out with a sequel, and I didn't really hear anything about it. But it got announced at this E3 during Ubisoft's press conference that Ubisoft, is it Ubisoft Milan? Yeah, I think it is Ubisoft Milan. It's going to be making the sequel for the game that they made. I'm not really sure how this game's going to, carry storyline wise, because it seems like they've actually just decided to go on a new adventure rather than like tie up any loose ends that were from the original game, which is all right. I mean, it's a Mario game. I don't think anyone's looking at them as like super narrative heavy games. You just kind of go in and have some fun. And yeah, really just can't wait for this game to come out. I think it comes out later this year. Yeah, definitely gonna be buying it. They could really just repackage the first one with some like new level design and a couple new enemies, and I would be really happy. So if they come up with some new inventive things like cooler weapons, like new abilities and stuff, that would just be icing on the cake for me as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, super stoked. All right, so this one's a little weird for me. So the next game we're going to be talking about is Stalker 2. And I've heard of Stalker, like the series, for a while now, but I've never really been interested in it at all. I didn't really know much about it, but it just kind of looked like a little, like a dreary first person shooter. And I've never really been interested into it or in it. And this new gameplay trailer, well, it was kind of gameplay. I mean, I think we get like bits and pieces of gameplay mixed in with like a cinematic of a campfire. But it really reminded me of Metro, and I think Metro was partially inspired by it gameplay wise. So I don't know if it's more like uh it or Metro reminds me of it. But for the first time I think I'm actually really interested in the game. I really liked the anomaly like system where the guy was like throwing like bolts into the air to catch anomalies because they're like invisible until you walk into them, so you got to throw stuff to like avoid them because otherwise they'll like tear you into pieces or something. I thought that looked really cool. I liked the atmosphere of it. uh the whole Chernobyl thing I think is interesting, and apparently they've just been hanging out in Chernobyl for the first couple games, but I haven't played any of those, so I didn't know about it. But yeah, I thought the motion capture on that one guy's mouth when he gets like really close to the screen looks good. Uh, I'm not 100% sold on this, but I think it looks really good, really clean. Uh, and yeah, it just reminds me a lot of Metro, and I love that series. So yeah, dragged me in. And I'm probably gonna check it out because I'm pretty sure it's on Game Pass because most of the stuff at this conference, at the Xbox conference, was. So yeah, Game Pass. I'm definitely gonna check it out. And this was a huge year for Game Pass. Let me just add that right now because like Xbox whole conference, I think is widely agreed upon as the best conference of the year, or of the E3 week at least. And almost all of it's gonna be on Game Pass, so that's pretty incredible. I mean, I think they said they had 30 games and 27 of them were on Game Pass. I don't know which ones weren't gonna go to Game Pass. Did they have like Battlefield or something? Yeah, they might have done something like that. But yeah, very good year for Game Pass. Great showing for them. Uh, yeah, so not really a good reason to not try out Stalker 2 because it looked interesting to me. And yeah, all right, I wasn't really sure which order to do these last two games because I'm very excited for both of them, but in the end, I decided that I would go with this next one here, and that would be Elden Ring. I know a lot of people are super excited for Elden Ring, and I'm no exception to that because I've played all the Dark Souls games, I've played Demon Souls, I've played Sekiro, I've played Bloodborne, and I just love that kind of gameplay and combat and everything. So I've been eagerly awaiting gameplay reveal for Elden Ring. I think people have been a little overexcited because I mean it's not like the longest wait we've ever had for a video game, but I was still very much excited to see some gameplay. And it was pretty much exactly what I expected it to be, an open world game that you have a horse that's like a spirit horse that can like, appear and disappear whenever you want it to. It does like double jumps. They show you it doing like a boost jump over like a mountain. So that was pretty cool. They show you a little bit of horseback combat, but Miyazaki has said that that's not going to be like super common. Like you're just going to use that every once in a while, but most combat will still be on like flat footed on the ground. Um, Miyazaki did a series of interviews that actually tells you a lot more than the trailer did. But so you're going to be able to change weapon arts to different weapons, which is I think that's a first for the series or like for the studio where like usually you get a weapon and you have to find one that you like the speed of the weapon art, like the way it attacks and stuff, and then you kind of build that one up. And if you get a weapon that you think like looks cool or something, but it doesn't like feel good to actually use, you kind of just like have to abandon it or something. And it's cool to see them allowing you to go, I like this weapon, this is what I want to use, and be able to customize it to the way you want it to play. So I think that's interesting. You have I've seen some people compare it to like Pokemon because so you can beat like enemies, I think. I'm not sure how the system works completely, but you can kind of like capture the spirit of like your enemies on like the field and use them as summons. So like you could set like so the way I've kind of heard it described as is similar to Pokemon, you capture them after you beat them and then you're able to call on them when you need them. So like it's sort of like summoning NPCs in Dark Souls and the other games. But rather than them just being random characters, uh, they're the ones you collected and you can power them up, do upgrades and stuff, switch them out with other ones and use them to like help you in your play style rather than, just having like a guy with a sword that wants to go tank. You can capture like bow and arrow wielding person something and use them while you tank or get a tank while you use a bow and arrow or something. So that I think that's a pretty interesting system. It's very new for Soulsborne games, and we'll see if it makes it a little easier because I think I also heard them say that this is going to be the easiest game. It's still going to be difficult, but it's going to be a bit easier to get through than the previous games in like the Souls-like series. This game looks far more like Dark Souls than like a Bloodborne or Sekiro. I mean, it's got that medieval kind of like English style fantasy world. You know, you got castles and stuff. But the enemy designs are really interesting. Like they got that one guy that was in the original launch trailer, I think, you know, with all the arms and stuff. And I don't know if he like cuts off the arms of his enemies and like sews them to him, or if he's like just a guy with that has a lot of arms. But I think he had like a dragon's head attached to him too. So that guy looks crazy. And you know, we got George R. R. Martin writing some of the lore for like uh the enemy, the like boss enemies and stuff. I think that's what his main role was for the game. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, could not be more excited for Elden Ring. I love what FromSoft does, and it just seems like they keep trying to elevate their game every single time they make something new, rather than just pumping out a new one. They try and change it up and make it a little bit more unique and interesting for each title. And yeah, very excited to see like and yeah, just very excited to get my hands on it. I think it comes out January of next year, so we don't have too much of a wait, like 6 to 7ish months. And yeah, should be really good. Finally, the game that I've been thinking about the most since it's showing at this year's E3, and that would easily be Halo Infinite. That we got to see a good chunk of multiplayer gameplay. We saw a little cinematic sort of from the campaign where they just kind of panned off Cortana, which is very interesting. I don't know what they're doing with that, but they showed off a new AI companion and stuff. We got the big long overview of Halo Infinite's multiplayer where you get your own customizable, you know, personal AI like Cortana, but for your multiplayer character. They showed off, you know, grappling hooks, the shield bash, where you can just block grenades and stuff back at your opponents. I love the idea that you can pick up power ups and you don't have to use them right away. You know, you just carry around your active camo and stuff. They showed off that they're bringing vehicles to 4v4 matches, which would be insane. So I'm interested in that. Yeah, everything Halo showed at this E3 really, I just thought was a home run. There wasn't a part where I was like, oh, I'm not a big fan of that. I think they knocked it out of the park showing everything they did. I was never like a big hater of Halo Infinite. I thought the initial reveal trailer looked fine. I just looked like more Halo to me, which like that's fine with me. I like Halo a lot. So I never really had a problem with like the Craig stuff and any of that. So I went into this thinking, yeah, Halo's fine. You know, I'm gonna play it at some point. But coming out of this showcase, I could not be more excited. Like, I mean, I play Halo a lot. Like, me and my friends will go. I'm actually currently running through every game in the series, but I still didn't expect to be this excited for Halo 6 or Halo Infinite after Halo 5, Guardians, whatever you want to call it. Like, I didn't even hate that game. I just thought, eh, this is fine. Whatever. I'm playing Halo. I'm shooting stuff. It's fine. But they got me genuinely excited to see new stuff from them and to just get my hands on it and play it. I mean, I can't wait. But yeah, it seems like 343 finally, hopefully, has a grasp on what Halo should be. I mean, I know a lot of people have said they are not interested in Halo after the Bungie games, which I think ended with Reach. So you got 4, 5, and now Infinite, and seemed like the discourse around the new gameplay trailer has been mostly positive, which is awesome to see. I mean, I'm sure 343 is very excited that, like, for once, people are saying positive stuff. But, you know, we still have to wait to see if it actually plays well, if the campaign actually is interesting. Because I remember I had some friends and stuff, and I probably was a little bit too at the time for Halo 5 Guardians when they were showing, like, Master Chief versus Sergeant Locke, I think it was. And that just didn't go anywhere. But yeah, this trailer has me really excited. Like I think the overview really did it. The trailer I thought was fine. It was interesting, but the multiplayer overview just blew me away. It got me so excited for the new stuff, and I'm so happy that you can finally freaking grapple on to a Banshee and throw the guy out because I freaking hate Banshees so much. But yeah, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to see if the campaign's actually good. And yeah, that was pretty much E3 for me. I mean, there was a lot of just empty showcases that were just companies getting on the week, like Gearbox and stuff. But there was a lot of good stuff to see too. So, I just like to focus on that stuff rather than the negative stuff. And I'm going to be doing another one of these videos for the indie showcases and what I liked from those. But yeah, so a lot of good stuff. Most of the stuff that I talked about today, I'm very excited for. And yeah, just can't wait to get my hands on some of these games. So if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Let us know what games you liked. If there's some I missed, I mean, there was a couple games like Starfield and Breath of the Wild that I know are big games that got announced, but I'm just personally not excited for those, so I left them off this list. Uh, if you liked them, I'm really happy for you. They're just not for me personally, but yeah, let me know what games you're looking forward to. Let me know if you didn't like the games I liked. And we'll go from there. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.